I call to order our City Council meeting for tonight, which is Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. All members of the council are present. Councilmember Bloom is participating online tonight. We're also joined by members of the council office staff. The Mayor Burton's here, as well as members of his staff and the public as well, both in person and online. First item of business we have is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Anderson is signaling that that will be led by him this evening.
Everyone, please stand and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, and we'll just keep Mr. Anderson at that podium or at the microphone for a second, because next item is a special recognition of one of the outstanding members of our community, Mr. John Butterfield. Mr. Anderson, if you would.
Yeah, so the City Council and the Mayor and the City of West Jordan would just like to recognize Mr. John Butterfield. I've known John for a very long time, so it's kind of emotional for me. We have also a family connection. John has been the CEO of Jordan Valley Medical Center up until last month, as he moves to different pastures, other pastures. And these are just a list of his accomplishments. While he's not a resident of West Jordan, he is nearby, and he has done so much for the city, for the fire department, for the paramedics, for the community, for Western Stampede. And I think I could stand up here for an hour and talk about all the things that he's done. He's been on the board of directors for Chamber West. He's been on the board of directors for the West Jordan Chamber of Commerce. He's allowed entities like the Exchange Club and Rotary to use rooms at the hospital for their meetings. He's been at Jordan Valley since 2001. So 22 years. And when he left Jordan Valley, the mayor, Ariel, who works with the mayor, Corbin, Jamie, the city council, wanted to recognize Mr. Butterfield for the service that he has rendered to the city of West Jordan as the administrator of the hospital in the city. So with that, John is here with his sweet wife. And because of the family connection, my wife and kids are here as well. But we would like to just present him an award. And I don't know, Council Chair, if it would be appropriate if the mayor had any comments he wanted to add.
I'll just do it from here since you're the stand-up guy. So, John Butterfield, along with Jordan Valley Hospital, has been a fixture in our city for several years. He's influenced a lot of the things that happen in our city, not only in council meetings, but as you mentioned, some of the recreation things such as Western Stampede and other things. He's also been a strong member of the Chamber of Commerce for several years, both the West Jordan Chamber and Chamber West, and has made influence. And so even though he may not be with the hospital anymore, he'll still be around and continues to be a positive influence for our community. So thank you, Mr. Butterfield.
Thank you. And council members, if you would like to come up front, we have an award that...
Before we do that, I'm going to take privilege here. I just wanted to share something with John. I mean, John, you've touched so many lives, and probably lives you don't even know, in some of the things that you've done. And, you know, just personally, my dad passed away back in 2014. He was at one of the offices over in Jordan Valley and was diagnosed and given 2 to 3 months to live. I immediately got on the phone and called John. And I said, this is who my dad's with. Who is this guy? How is this guy? This is who you're recommending. Who do you recommend? And he recommended and helped me make sure that I got the best care for my dad. And unfortunately, the last 15 days of his life, he wasn't going to make it to 2 to 3 months. He went 15 days and he went on his own terms. And thank you, John, for giving me the quality care the recommendation for the quality care, because I will never forget that. But I have the opportunity to go ahead and thank you publicly once again for that. I will thank you for the rest of my life and remember that forever. And I'm not the only one. I know there's others out there that you probably have never heard from, but you have touched many lives, and we're all very grateful.
So let's go, council members, mayor, if you'd come up in front of the dais.
There's the more than 2 decades that you've been in that position have really left a fingerprint on the city, not just through healthcare. I know most of my experience with you has been over at the rodeo grounds and watching how you're able to use the resources that you had available to help make the community a better place as a whole with some of the events and activities that draw neighbors together. And then again, with the chamber and hosting things that help the businesses grow and thrive. It's unique when you can find somebody who can take their profession and grow it from every aspect. So it's not just their job, but it's growing the entire community. There are very, very few people like you out there. We're very lucky to have you here as part of our community. Thank you, John. With that, we'll move over to citizen comment. During the citizen comment time, anybody who would like to address the public council is welcome to. You can speak on any topic you like, whether it's on the agenda or not, whether the city council has oversight of that item or not. Anything you'd like to say, you can. We do ask that you please start off letting us know your name and your city of residence. We do try and ask that things are kept in a civil nature. We do tend to listen during this time. It's citizen comment, not council soapbox. So our job is to sit and listen. If there are very specific directed questions that require some sort of follow-up, we'll probably have you get in touch with the appropriate members of staff, make sure that we have your contact information. On the agenda, we do have both a 24-hour comment line listed as well as an email address, councilall@westjordan.utah.gov. So if you do have specific questions and you're a little hesitant to ask them in this forum, send it over in an email. Mr. Anderson, did you have something to add before we open it up?
Yes, you had mentioned council all. It's actually council comments at westjordan.utah.gov.
Thank you. It's good to have plenty of folks help correct me when I go astray. So council comments at westjordan.utah.gov. Thank you for that correction. We do have folks both online who are able to participate as well as those in the audience today. We'll start with those who are here in person and then go to those who are online. If you're online and would like to speak during citizen comments, please hit the button to raise hand to indicate that you'd like to speak. With that, we'll start with those who are here in the room. If you'd like to speak, please come to the podium. We'll start with Anne Marie because it would be a weird deviation from tradition if we didn't hear about how things are going over at Bingham Creek Library and what activities we have. So please proceed and you'll have 3 minutes.
Wonderful. I'm Anne Marie Barrett. I'm the manager of the Bingham Creek Library. I also swung by West Jordan just before I came here. Vern was really sorry he couldn't join you guys tonight, but he gave me some information to share about West Jordan too. So I'm going to break with tradition just a little bit. We have had some really cool events here in West Jordan City this last month. We had the Faye Masquerade, which was just so much fun over at the Viridian. It's one of the library's programs that are aimed towards an adult audience, and it was very well attended and a wonderful opportunity. We're really glad have the facilities here in such a central location to be able to invite people from all over the valley to participate in that. We also had at West Jordan a ice blocking party that they did, sliding down the little hill outside the branch there. They had 83 people show up for that. Really awesome. They also had a Play-Doh party just last week, and they had 96 people show up at that one. So that was really awesome. And of course, I have to tell you, Bingham Creek's 25th anniversary was very, very well attended. We really appreciated seeing so many friendly faces from the council, from the mayor's office, the mayor himself. It was great to see you all that were able to make it there. We actually had, during those 3 hours, our door count was 748 people. And there were many people who just participated in the outside activities and never came in the door. So really awesome. We so appreciate your support. The West Jordan City did an excellent job of helping us publicize that and get word out about it. We really, really appreciated it. You guys helped us succeed. We thank you so much for that. And then finally, summer reading just wrapped up, and West Jordan City residents do such a great job participating in this program. So I wanted to share our closing numbers with you guys so you knew what it looked like. Between West Jordan and Bingham Creek, we had 7,597 people sign up to participate for the program. Really awesome. We had 3,353 finishers, which actually puts us at 44% of the people who signed up actually completing the program and coming back in, getting a free book, and the other amazing things that come with finishing up summer reading. So, so excited to have such a supportive community when it comes to summer reading. Thank you so much. We're so glad to be part of West Jordan City.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Anyone else in chambers that'd like to speak? If not, again, if you're online, please hit the button to raise hand to indicate that you'd like to speak. We do have Mr. Ryan Wilkinson who has hit the button. Let me switch this over to allow you to speak. We'll start with you. All right, Mr. Wilkinson, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Cool.
It's very, very faint.
Oh, I'm very faint.
There we go. We can hear you well now.
Yeah, I had some comments prepared for today. Then, like the last meeting, a current event hijacked my comments, and I have to go off the cuff here. There was a plane crash today. I think you're all aware of it. One fatality in West Jordan. A little history here. From 2010 to 2020, there were 8 crashes, resulting in 5 serious injuries and the deaths of 8 people and 1 dog. Some of those individuals were in their West Jordan homes when they were killed. I've lived in West Jordan since about February of 2022. Since then, that's just the last 18 months, there have been at least 5 and possibly as many as 7 crashes, including today's. I don't have the numbers on me right now. I know it's at least 5 associated with the airport. So that's almost as many as the previous 10 years, or it's certainly approaching that in 18 months. So this problem is getting worse. This is a problem in your community, which you acknowledge in your own city plan, but you don't do anything about. We have planes dropping from the sky, as many as potentially 7 in the last 18 months, like I just said, and you are sitting there and you're not doing anything about this. You're not even expressing concern. You're instead doing the opposite. You are supporting the expansion of the airport to add as many as 100 new hangars. That's 100 new airplanes flying around out there. And you're celebrating this. This is a good thing for the community. I don't know what else I can say about this. No rational person supports a municipal airport in the middle of a residential area, period. If you do, you are irrational. It provides your city no benefit. Well, I'll say there's a very slight benefit, $16,000 direct income from the airport in the 2022 calendar year, as I've stated at least 10 times during these meetings. Now, I emailed you about this problem back on May 24th. I've come to 2 city council meetings and reported that no one got back to me. Now, 2.5 months later, I did get a response. Kayleen Whitelock got back to me. After 2.5 months, I got one word in response: received. Oh, thank goodness my email was received. I can stop worrying because it was received. I asked 2 very simple questions in that email. No one's responded to those questions. Here are the questions. How do the flight operations from the airport benefit West Jordan City and its residents? Here's the second question. Describe how these flight operations benefit West Jordan economically. They don't. You know they don't. You cannot answer this question rationally. That is why it has not been answered. I'll challenge anyone on the council, including the mayor who's not on the council, to answer these questions. If you have a rational position, give it to me. Otherwise, I will assume you do not have one. Now, I do appreciate the comment from Ms. Whitelock.
That Mr. Wilkinson is time. Okay. Thank you for your comments. And let me see if I can switch that over. All right. Is there anybody else either online or in chambers that would like to address the council this evening? Not seeing any, we will close the public comment period and move on to reports to city council. First off, we'll have reports from members of the council. I've got a couple items to share, but we'll see. Is there anybody else who'd like to go first? Councilmember Whitelock.
Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns met. We had our meeting. Look on their site. There are a couple of resolutions that they're bringing forward for the fall conference. They're still working on water. We'll probably be working on water in this state until the last resident resides here. So nothing concrete has been formulated yet, and so they really don't have anything substantial to share yet on the proposed legislation, other than I can't remember the number of bill files that are already open, but I think it was around 700, 500 or 700. It's crazy already. They've got that many bills. For me personally, I'd like a legislator that would stand up and say, we're going to limit the number of bills that can be handled in a session. But I don't know if I can get one to run that bill. I did get one to run another bill though, so maybe I should try. Thank you.
Other reports? If not, Mr. Anderson or Ms. Quick, there are a couple items that I wanted to share, and it's a little easier to do visually. So we'll see if we can
Give me just
over
1
there
second.
here. All right, so there's 2 items that I wanted to share with the council. First of which, I would make a terrible baseball announcer. Golf I'd be very good. Just nice, quiet, let the breeze do the work. And I do have to take responsibility for this one because these were 2 photos that I sent over at about 5:58, just barely before the meeting began. If it's not going to work, we can. So, almost there or not so well. They're up?
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay. This is going to be somewhat anticlimactic, so. All right, there we go. So the first item I wanted to bring up was the firefighter physical fitness test, and thank you to Chief and all those who made that possible. There were multiple groups that went throughout the day. This was a group of us that went at 9 a.m. on Saturday. I believe time to beat was 11 minutes, and was it 11 minutes 41 seconds? I was feeling pretty good coming in at 8 minutes and 10 seconds. But very, very much a fun event. Thank you to the firefighters who were there, who were facilitating it, for opening it up to the general public. And also a huge thanks to Becky for all the work that she does with all these elements. The next one I wanted to share is a picture from the Big Bend restoration. This is just barely north of that power plant substation off of 90th, just a little further to the north and to the east. There's the new trail that has been opened up, and this is looking kind of towards the northwest. You've got the regular Jordan River Trail. If you see those power lines in the background, the Naylor Farm is up behind those. But after many, many years of work with countless other governmental entities, we started this, City West Jordan, we started this back with Mayor Johnson just over a decade ago. And this portion of the trail is now open and accessible for use. So I want to encourage folks to get out there and appreciate it. So those were the two items that I had to report. If there is no other report from the council, then we can move over to council office with Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. The only two things I have is the Utah League of Cities and Towns annual meeting is September 6, 7, and 8, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I've got 3 of you that have signed up for that. If anyone else wants to go, I need to get that in as soon as possible. And the second thing I have is each of you should have received an email from Miss Sloan, who's the city recorder, about an election center tour at the Salt Lake County Complex next week in preparation for elections that are coming up. If any of you are interested in that, please let Miss Sloan know. And that is all I have at this time. Thank you.
All right. Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Council Chair. I have some pictures to go along with my report today, so hopefully it will go as smooth as yours did. So the First Friday concerts are still happening. This is the First Friday's concert last month. As you can see, that is Charlie Jenkins. Thank you. So as you look at the audience there, you can see there was a very good turnout. Those have been very successful. We have our next one is coming up on the first Friday in September, which will be September 1st. The 1st is a Friday. It'll be there. It'll be West Wing Orchestra. And you're invited to come and join us. It'll be great. And the next item is I got to participate with the Sandy MAT, which stands for Mobile Active Transportation Tour. I got to see some things the city of Sandy has done to help create a path for mobile active transportation and some things that we may want to incorporate in ours. Oh, looks like the next thing I want to talk about is Salt Lake Community College. They had a board meeting. At that board meeting, they invited me to come, and I've never been to a board meeting like this before. They provide a meal and a place setting, and this was what was there when I walked in the door. It was quite welcoming. The purpose of me attending this board meeting was they were looking for an easement for the water tank we're doing over by their property, and we need an easement to run our lines through. And that was discussed at that meeting. And I'm happy to report that they unanimously approved that easement. And I thank them for putting ease back in easement. And then on the next picture, the Party in the Park event. As you know, the construction on 13th West has been quite challenging for our residents, particularly those that live in that part of the valley of the city. And so we held a little party there where we could hear from them some of the concerns they have and some ideas to help relieve some issues in traffic. And we could share with them what has happened, what is happening, and what will be coming in the future. We had a very good participation there, and people were very cordial and thankful for this. And we learned a couple of things, and we've applied those. And since we've applied some of those things, we've had less problems than we had before that. So hearing from the public was beneficial in that event. And next, is there a next? Oh, there it is. Jordan Landing Restoration Celebration. I know Councilmember Green made it over there, and I'm not sure what other council members did, but Fairborn purchased Jordan Landing recently and have been doing several improvements there. And this is one of them they did. They had a celebration to show this opening, which is the community gathering area. They also have concerts there every Friday and car shows there frequently. And looking to do other things, you'll notice changes in parking lots and other things. They're calling Jordan Landing the heart of West Jordan. And I think that's appropriate because not only is it in the center like a heart would be, but as you may recall, back in 2008, when the economy dumped on the country, Jordan Landing is what saved West Jordan because it was here and provided income revenues that we would have had otherwise. And we were able to pull through that tight time as a result of Jordan Landing. So we're fortunate to have that in our community, and it continues to provide be an asset for us. And next, Aligned Energy had a groundbreaking. This is out by the Amazon building. This was quite exciting. So this will be the 4th building in West Jordan. And they anticipate building 3 additional buildings in this location, and they'll start in building number 4. Aligned Energy has been a very good asset for the city and provided some fantastic opportunities for other businesses to host their computers and provide a pleasure for us if we're like listening to music while we're driving or using our cell phones or checking our watch or using our computers. A lot of those businesses may have their computers there at Aligned Energy. And then next, oh, that was my last picture. So some upcoming things. You have received an invitation for Pink Sweets Cafe tasting event, and hope you can join me over there.
I don't think you
You didn't?
That is coming. I have not said it yet.
Oh, you will be receiving an invitation for that. It is on August 26th. That's a Saturday. The sad part is it's in Riverton, but just make sure you wear your West Jordan apparel when you go. And then Salt Lake County is putting on an American Founders Constitution Month proclamation and celebration. And you're invited to join them for that. That'll be on August 29th. And the Chamber West Gala is coming up. Hopefully you already have that on your calendar. Look forward to seeing you there. And our Demolition Derby, which is coming up, is sold out. So good news. Hopefully you already have your tickets. I look forward to seeing you there. That is my report. And if you like the picture parts, you don't have to read it. Let me know because you don't have to read it anyway. But if you don't, then let Ariel know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. For the CAO's report, we'll turn to Mr. Lee.
Chair, I just want to give you a quick update on a couple of things. First, just want to acknowledge the hard work of our public utilities staff and contractor in making sure to work through the weekend to get the Copper Hills, almost said me being on Copper Hills Parkway sewer upgrade project out of the rights of way in front of Copper Hills High School just in time for the start of school. Thank you, Greg. Thank you to the staff that worked with the contractor on that. Similarly, in that same area, if you haven't been out to see the bridge on 8600 South, and O'Brien updates you regularly on that. The progress is coming along. You can really see that bridge coming. So if you haven't been out there, I encourage you to go see that. So Ronwood Park Drive has been closed. It is reopened now after the sewer project in that area in preparation for the Wheels Park. There's further preparation for the Wheels Park going on, but they are out of the roadway. Finally, check your email for an update from the legal department if you haven't seen it. It came out this afternoon, and then there's follow-up there if needed. Thanks. That's all from me.
All right. Thank you very much. With no other reports, we'll now go to public hearings, of which we have one tonight. This is about a request to vacate a street at about 4900 West, 7800 South. And I believe Ray is going to give us the information on this one.
Thank you. The in June of last year, the city council approved a master development agreement for the proposed villas at Stone Creek subdivision that's located at 7800 South and 4930 West. This is just a map showing where that project's located. Over when this, or some time ago, and this was back in, I think 2020, there was a subdivision plat that was recorded on this property in anticipation that would be developed as commercial use. As part of that, there was a little piece of property that's shown in red that was dedicated at the time the plat was recorded to the city in anticipation that there would be a street that would be approved or that would be constructed there. But nothing has been constructing on the property. I understand there's no utilities. It just basically exists on paper. So why don't you go ahead, if you wouldn't mind, just going to the site plan. Right there. This is just the preliminary plan for the Villas of Stone Creek, which you took a look at last year. And this is the location of the proposed street vacation. So as you will recall, there was 116 senior villa units. There were 8 single family lots. There was an assisted living facility that's up on the northwest corner. And then there's a 1 acre subdivision, commercial subdivision lot that's over on the northeast on the intersection of 48th and 70th South. So the site plan that has been reviewed by the planning commission shows that all the access now is off of 7800 South. It all goes basically east and west and south towards Hayden Peak Drive. There would likely be an access to the north from the from the assisted living facility, but that's likely just through a private driveway. So we really don't see a need to punch another street or a public street through that onto 7800 South. And we really don't see any issues with vacating this section of street. It's pretty straightforward. Any questions?
All right. If there are no questions for Mr. McCandless, then we'll open up the public hearing. If anybody here would like to speak to this item, if you're here in person, please come on up to the podium. If you're watching online and would like to speak to this, please hit the little icon to raise hand so that we know you want to speak to this one. We'll give it just a few seconds here. Not seeing anybody in lines or in the chamber sprinting for the microphone, and I haven't seen any hands raised online. Therefore, we'll close the public hearing and move to council for discussion or perhaps a motion from Council Member Green.
I was just going to say, I can't believe that we want to take traffic off of 7800 South. But because of that, I'm going to move to approve ordinance number 2328, vacating Commerce Street at approximately 4950 West, 7800 South.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Whitelock. Any discussion to the motion? Councilmember Jacob.
I'll be voting in favor because I love vacations. Are you trying to compete with the mayor? Oh, there's no competition.
Please, Ms. Quick, let's vote.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Chair McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen,
Ray, I would have to say, I don't think anybody ever has stunned us all into silence and not having comments. So you get the A+ today. Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Pack.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 7-0.
All right, we'll move on to our first business item for the night, which is adopting a property tax rate for the 2023-2024 year. And we'll go to Ms. Steck.
Resolution you have in your packet is based on what the certified tax rate was after a 5% tax increase. We had a public hearing last night, and I am prepared if you have any questions or would like to make any adjustments.
Councilmember Green.
My question would be, if we were to adopt the certified tax rate last year, 1476, whatever that certified rate was, what would be the tax rate? How would it change percentage wise as opposed to the 1499?
Perfect. And thank you for letting me know that you wanted that calculation ahead of time. It would be a 3.1% property tax rate increase.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ms. Steck? Right. Any discussion from the council or perhaps a motion? Councilmember Green.
I'm not sure that I like the 4.8%. I'd like to give, I know that it's not really a tax rate. Truth in taxation's the goofiest thing in state law in the planet. Because it makes no sense, because we're raising the tax rate, but some people's taxes actually still go down. I think as Alan and I talked one day, his taxes, even if we raise the rate, his property taxes in the city go down. If anybody can figure out the rhyme or reason to that, hey, thank you, Utah legislature, for putting fun and dysfunctional when it comes to tax policy. But and I agree that we probably ought to have a small inflationary tax increase, probably small inflationary tax increase, but I also want to be able to help the citizens with the they kind of got a break, and I'd like to see that break. I think the best that I can support would be a 3% property tax increase. I can't support 4.8.
Councilmember Whitelock.
So I have to chime in and say that I lean towards Councilmember Green. I feel like we're asking for more than needed, in my own opinion. So, but I also feel like there isn't support for that.
Councilmember Worthen.
I mean, at the risk of repeating myself for the 1800th time, no, I will not support a tax increase, because there are wants in the budget that I don't agree with, and I don't think we should be asking for tax increases when there are wants over needs. So yeah, I'm gonna.
Councilmember Pack.
Well, thank you, Chair McConaughey. I'm curious with Councilmember Green and Councilmember Worthen, where would you propose the money come from if it's 3% instead of 4.8?
You don't need to ask me that question. I think everybody knows where I think it should come from. Does anybody need to know where I think it should come from? Anybody? Okay, I don't think so.
The most at the expense of drawing the ire of the Utah Taxpayers Association, most of the tax money that we're doing is being transferred to the CIP, and we're using the property tax increase mainly for capital improvements this year. And so if we drop from 4.8 to 3%, we would just drop the equivalent amount of money out of the contribution to the CIP, and we break even. That's where I'm coming from. I'm just not sure that I like the full 4.8.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you. I'll agree with part of what you said and disagree with the other part of what you said. Inflationary tax increases is something that I've been on the record supporting for several years now. And we've seen record inflation a couple years in a row. It's a little bit less right now, which is great, but it's still, fiscal year, the last fiscal year's inflation from the last budget to this budget is 5 point something. So even at 4.8, we're taking a little bit of a haircut, and I don't use that term lightly because, well, you know why. So, I'm in favor of the budget, the tentative budget as amended to this point, or something like that. The proposed budget as it stands. Thanks.
All right, not seeing any other lights, I'll chime in. I can appreciate the perspectives that have been shared. If you were to adjust it, I would want to see an adjustment that was meaningful, that would be impactful. And I worry that smaller adjustments wouldn't necessarily be felt or noticed by the residents. And the place where they would be impactful would be the services that we're able to provide. And I want to make sure that we're able to provide those things that folks are asking for. So I would be in favor of what's been proposed here. So with that, not seeing any other lights, I will make a motion to approve ordinance 23-22, setting the tax rate for the tax year 2023 at what is in here at 0.001499.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember McConaughey, while Councilmember Jacob made a valiant effort. The award for that second will go to Councilmember Bloom. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Pack.
Well, thank you, Chair. In all the study, it seems that the majority of residents' tax bills will go down, and no other bill seems like it would have such a modest increase in our lives as I look at how much we're paying for gas and food and utilities, and to be able to keep services for the city, to keep good employees with good institutional knowledge, to have materials and manpower. Also, as I've been mentioning for 3.5 years, I'd love it to not kick the can down the road and to have instead incremental adjustments as opposed to huge adjustments. It seems, excuse me, that an approximate $1.50 per month on a tax bill is definitely smaller. could be a lot larger if it were in line with everything else that's going on in the economy. So I think we've done a fantastic job, and our tax rate is lower than most other cities. So I'd be in favor of the motion as well.
Councilmember Green.
Well, I agree with Councilmember Jacob that the inflation rate was 5.2%, 5.7. Thank you. It was 5.7. This is 4.8. Somewhere along the line, and I've mentioned this before, somehow we have to moderate the growth in our budget, moderate the growth of government, and 4.8, while it's not bad, is just not where I can be. While $1.50 a month seems like a small increase, property tax is still the most, can I say it's the most? It's up there with sales tax. So we can debate on tax policy on which one's the most regressive tax out there, but property tax is a regressive tax. And sometimes it hits the elderly. Let me rephrase that. It hits the fixed income. And sometimes that for some people who get inflationed out of their house, $18 a year is still $18. And sometimes, even if it's only $18, I think there's some symbolism that we need to say we are trying to limit regressive taxes, trying to limit the growth of government, and that's where I'm going to stand, and that's why I'm voting no.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you. I just wanted to also couch this in a little bit of context, in the context of the larger revenue picture, that the proposed budget, as it was handed to us, was different than the last couple have been in how sales tax growth was allotted. Without that change, there would have had to have been a much larger property tax increase to maintain the status quo as far as revenue is concerned. That change basically cut out any new funds into capital projects. We still need capital projects. We got a big old list, and funding is the only thing holding up most of it. Funding and manpower, of course, if you have more funding, you can get more manpower. So that is the larger kind of picture that I just want to make sure is painted as well. This 4.8%, which is really for most people about a 1% increase in what actually they'll pay this year over what they paid last year, on an average house in the city, is barely keeping up with inflation. Like I've said before, the city doesn't make anything. We don't have control over our own costs in as much as what the market forces are for wages, what asphalt costs, what raw goods costs, and the things that we use as a city to provide the services that the city provides at the request of the people that we provide them for. We are subject to inflation. We are subject to market forces. As even though we are the government, we are just a little tiny government in the grand scheme of governments and economies, even as the third largest in Utah, yada, yada. So, such as it is, the tax rate that has been proposed and that we have kind of gone back and forth on, as we've had workshop after workshop and discussion after discussion on what should and shouldn't be in the budget. The tax rate that we've kind of landed on, I think is the right one. And so I'll be in favor. Thanks.
Councilmember Whitelock.
Thank you. So many thoughts. I agree that we want to have sufficient funds to run our city. We want to provide the services that our residents desire. We want to have a quality of life in West Jordan. But we also don't want to, and when you bring it down and say $1.50, okay, except for my personal property taxes are more than double when I bought my house. And if they do that again, then I'm going to be one of those elderly people that might be property taxed out of my house. And that's kind of a scary thought, actually. So because I do better with her prepared remarks, I'm going to read my remarks now. My thoughts on this year's budget. Mayor Burton first prepared a budget with a tax increase, which the council budget committee worked on. Then Mayor Burton changed his proposal, and the proposed budget that came to the council as a whole had no tax increase. Instead, it projected a higher rate of sales tax collection than this elected body had agreed to use as an inflationary tax increase year over year of about 5%. The amount was also much higher than economists were suggesting will occur. Council has worked on the budget with an array of input. Councilmember Jacob suggested a 5% property tax increase. Of note, Councilmember Jacob is not directly impacted by a property tax increase as he doesn't own property in West Jordan. Councilmember Worthen has shared she will not vote for an increase with items in this budget she opposes, not because of the item, but due to no long-range plan on how it will be paid for. And other members have shared their thoughts within this pendulum of ideas. I have spent many hours looking at this budget book starting in about February of last year, serving on both the utility and the budget committee. Here's where I've landed. After listening to all perspectives, most importantly, residents who have contacted me, who, in my opinion, are highly impacted. In a year when most economic indicators seem to point to a strong possibility of a sales tax decline, it doesn't seem prudent to balance our budget with an inflated sales tax above 5%. We as an elected body decided in the past to use as our year-over-year rate. By being a little conservative in this area, this council has been able to help right the financial house of the city, allowing us to put money not only into reserves, which are needed to keep a good credit rating, but to also have money available for the unknown disasters that arise. This budget philosophy has also allowed us to put money into the capital improvement fund to not only put in needed infrastructure, but also dedicate money to the much needed funding of maintenance projects in the city. I'm grateful that our council has decided and passed a tentative budget with a smaller proposed inflationary sales tax increase and not relying heavily on inflated sales tax projections. As I have shared multiple times, I am a frugal person and try to ensure needs are covered in the most money-wise way. Sometimes this means spending or saving a little more today to achieve a better long-term outcome. My concerns regarding this budget are as follows. Our spending on growing the city employee bank and the city is outpacing our growth revenue. While I fully support the needed expansion in public safety, there are other areas that seem to be growing at a much faster pace than our revenue allows, in my opinion. Councilmember Worthen has stated many times, I too have concerns about dedicating millions to a community center without laying out how the M&O will be covered. For me, failure to have a plan is a plan to fail. A few budgets back, our CAO included a line item for future M&O for the community arts building, but quickly that line got used for other needs. I strongly support the venue for our arts group to use as well as our residents for community functions. I just want to be able to ensure that it won't mean a need for a tax increase in next year's budget. I hear, and some council members correctly share most frequently, when a municipality proposes a tax increase, they equate it to public safety, which residents value. And while public safety is a very large portion of city's budget, it is not the only expense. I too support public safety as well as all the departments in West Jordan. I take my fiduciary responsibility serious, and I'm concerned that the proposed budget is not at this point one that I can support. There are some additional staff that if we were growing at that rate to support that, I could support it, but our growth there in finances has not come, and we're adding staff, and we've added a lot of staff since I've been on the council. At the last board meeting, I took a straw poll, and it was clear I was in the minority as far as where we'd land on the tax increase. And hence, it didn't seem prudent for me to continue to push to find savings or suggest cuts, as few options that would cut spending were met with a positive response from the budget during our work meetings. Due to concerns I have and those of the residents, I'll be supporting the idea of no tax increase as the mayor proposed.
Any other discussion to the motion? So just a quick clarification for those who are watching at home. There's two items that we have tonight for council business. Number one is setting the rate. And then number two is the adoption of the budget. So our conversations kind of hit both because they are both very, very closely intertwined. You can't talk about one without the other, but that's why you're going to hear two separate items. So with that, we do have a motion. We do have a second. I'm not seeing any other lights nor hand online. Therefore, I will look to Ms. Quick for a vote.
Chair McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
No.
Councilmember Green,
No.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Councilmember Pack,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen.
No.
I show the motion passes 4-3. Thank you.
All right, now for the second half of that, it's ordinance 23-23 adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2024. Ms. Steck, back to you.
Thank you. I just want to briefly go over some of the changes between the tentative budget and the budget that we're proposing this evening. There are a couple changes to funds, but 3 items specific. The first one is the property acquisition for the Bobby Joe Glover property that you did about 4 weeks ago. So it's bringing in corridor preservation funds that were appropriated for that purchase from Salt Lake County for $847,000. So we're getting revenue in and then purchasing that property out of the same funds. We're also asking for the second property acquisition, which you approved this evening on consent, for the water tank and fire station property. The fire station property will be purchased out of the fire impact fee fund, and the water property would be purchased out of the water impact fees. The last item is one that was my mistake, and that would be that, as you know, when we were preparing the final tentative budget, we were dark. We didn't have any of our files electronically, so I was preparing the budget in the dark. I did omit the industrial drone that the council did approve as a majority to support in the tentative budget on June 14th. I did not put that in the tentative budget on June 28th due to that, as well as a misunderstanding on my part about what was needed. And so I'm asking you to restore that to the final budget, and it's coming out of the capital projects fund. Again, we had great discussion on that as well. So that would be all of the changes that we're proposing in the final budget, and any of those can be discussed or changed as needed. Thank you.
Discussion from the council. We'll start with Councilmember Green.
I have a question because I don't even remember it. The Glover property. Which piece of property is that?
It's the one on 8600 South. It's the one, help me.
Oh, I know. It's the one
road right of way.
it's the one that was tied to Terry Deal's property.
Yes,
Okay,
but it's Bobby Joe Glover's.
right. But it was tied to the deal, to the
Yes.
project that was built there, and that right away was okay.
Yes,
Now I remember.
thank you. Those are the only changes. Thank you, council.
Any other discussion to the discussion or a motion? By the way, the slide is, I think, back for the prior one. We're on 23-23. Councilmember Green.
I think I've mentioned before, I don't like this budget. It's got a couple of things. Councilmember Whitelock talked about the sales tax projection, and I don't like the sales tax projection because we've always used the extra sale, quote unquote, extra sales tax for CIP. And because we had to, here's part of my perception, because we had to use some additional sales tax revenue because of some growth. Because the number of employees and I know that Councilmember Jacob has mentioned that we're not adding back nearly as many employees as we cut. We cut 40 employees a few years ago. We're adding 10 back. But the 40 we cut, we didn't cut any public safety. This year we're adding 5 or 6 public safety. I'm okay with the public safety. There's a couple of things, and do we need those staff members? The answer is yes, but the government grew faster than the government's revenue grew, and I don't like that. I really don't. And so what it seems like is we grew the government faster than we had the revenue. So what we did was Then we had to cover that with some costs of some sales tax, some additional sales tax revenue. And we had some other costs, and yes, I get that. But you know, I don't know how much new growth we're going to get next year, but the shot across the bow is we're not growing government again next year, but we shouldn't be growing government by more than the anticipated growth. And maybe we need to hold off on any growth with the anticipated growth next year to help cover the costs from this year, just to keep us in check. So, and I really fixing one of the wage scale things. I don't like the way we did it. I think we could have. I actually think we could have continued doing it the way we've done it the last 3 or 4 years and done a budget amendment at the end and then let it catch up to itself. I think we could have done that. But instead we made that a permanent part of the budget without trying to actually figure out how to do that. And that concerned me. So at the end of the day, this budget's got some things in it that I don't like, but sometimes you have to take the bad with the good, and we've got to let the rest of the city operate. So while I am going to be voting yes on this budget, I think we have to take some serious work next year on the budget, particularly some things about potentially removing. That was part of the reason I was against the property tax increase too, is because we also increased the streetlight fund by an extra $1 a month to everybody. And so we just didn't adopt $1.50. We adopted $2.50, and I wanted a balance there. And we picked up the reason why it went from 5 to 4.8 because we picked up the extra utility transfer money off of the tax for raising the street light. I think next year we need to take a look at eliminating the streetlight enterprise fund transfer. I think we need to take a look at Ms. Steck and I have had some long conversations about maybe using enterprise funds as more of a dedicated fund, using enterprise funds for streets and roads so that they're paying for those funds are paying for the impact of the water and the sewer in the structure that they're supposed to, and maybe a little bit to support public safety, because that's why we're collecting the enterprise funds, and make the enterprise funds more dedicated. Those are some long-term things we need to work on to make the budget better. I am a little concerned that we've worked for 3 years on a good trajectory for budgets, and I'm concerned this one takes us back. We took 7 or 8 good steps back forward. I'm afraid we're taking a step back, and so while I will vote for this budget, I think it sets it up that next year's budget we have got to be super careful on how we're going to do that, and we've got to. And that's where I agree with Councilmember Jacob. Next year, we need to start in January on tax policy and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, so that we're not stuck with a budget that probably 75, 80% okay, So I'd rather get us up to 90% budget. That's okay. So that, we continue with the long-term financial stability of the city. And so, like I said, I will be voting for this budget, because I wanted to voting no would probably not be the most prudent thing. The budget needs to pass so we can pay firefighters, and so we can pay Greg's staff to go out and fix leaks in the middle of 90th South when the pipe breaks, or maybe prevent and help prevent the pipe from breaking. But that was in the enterprise fund, so never mind. But so we've got to do those kind of things. But I think this budget is a cautionary budget that we have got to really pay attention to next year's budget. Thank you.
Councilmember Worthman.
So you all can just celebrate this moment, because this will be the last time I get to talk about this. This is the last budget I'll vote on. I'm going to vote no. I think everybody knows that. I hope I have gotten out to the staff that it has absolutely nothing to do with the amazing job that they do, and that I definitely think they deserve everything that they are getting in this budget. As far as benefits, the city is amazing with taking care of the employees. As far as benefits, I brag about it, rub it in, tell people they should come work here because of the fact. And I recommend people coming to work for the city on a regular basis. I share a lot of the jobs that are shared with us as council members to people that I know, and tell them what a great place it is to work. We have long-term staff for a reason. They take care of each other, and I think they do a wonderful job. I trust what they have to say. And so I don't want my not voting for this budget to reflect that. That has never been the case. And I would hope that no one would ever think that. I just think, although there was a lot of hard work done to it, and appreciate all the hours and the hard work that everybody put into this, I'm not against the arts. I never have been. My husband is an amazing artist, and I adore plays, and my daughters danced, and have always been involved in things like that. I just don't think, and I've been saying it for the last several years, it's a good investment for the city as we stand financially. We just had a meeting last week on impact fees, and we just got told we need a new police station. I think public safety is more important than public arts. I'm sorry, I do. Although I do love the arts and I support the arts. I suck at them personally, but I respect them that other people can do them. So, although I agree with Councilman Green that there are things that you don't like and you still vote for the budget, I've stood on this principle for the last several years. It's financially a poor decision. It's not good for the community. It's not planned. We don't have an actual plan within the budget that we have. We have an idea, but we don't even know if we can get that for the money that we have. And then there's nothing in the budget that says what it's going to cost. And I just can't support that when the numbers aren't there. So last time, hurrah, you don't have to listen to it anymore, but that's where I stand and that's how I feel. I'm not saying it should never happen. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it. It's just it needs to be planned better financially. And we have other needs in the city where that money could go, especially after hearing last week's meeting.
Councilmember Pack.
Great. Thank you, Chair McConaughey. I think that all of these items operate intrinsically together. It's hard to operate in a vacuum. A tax rate definitely impacts a fiscal or a budget for the fiscal year 2024, and vice versa. And even ideas of such as renting a home or owning a home. I know, for instance, my mom lives locally here and just rents a 1-bedroom. She doesn't own a home, but the tax bill that does go up on the owner of the home makes her rent go up, but also Social Security goes up. So fixed income recipients do get a COLA as well. So I want to recognize that it's hard to make a decision without factoring in all of the contributing information. So a homeowner's property tax bill goes up, the principal interest tax insurance payment goes up, renters pay more. and also I don't think things need to be an either or. It doesn't need to be either a police station or the arts, just to use those examples. Obviously, there's a lot of other items in the bill, in the proposed budget. And I too agree that probably not one of us has everything that we wish were in there. And to keep the budget from getting passed because maybe something that we were in favor of or against didn't fall a certain way on a vote. Gosh, I think all 7 of us would rather put more money somewhere else. But I also recognize that as a city, we're not here to make money, but we need money to exist. The parks don't make money. A lot of things that we do don't make money, but there's a certain level of amenities that need to contribute to that quality of life that we are striving for. I know I personally haven't had to do much over at the senior center because I haven't had family members there. Of course, I've visited it, checked it out. We have different amenities for every segment of the community. And it seems it's challenging because we've had bull markets and bear markets for the last 10 years or so that I've been affiliated here. And it seems like there's never a good time to do anything. If it's not in a good, there's always other priorities, or it's not the right time financially. So again, as always, I understand different viewpoints, while noting that if something like a community arts center would have been built 10 years ago, the gap wouldn't have gotten as wide as it is now, and it's only going to get wider. So to me, it actually saves money to do it now, especially if we're getting gifted millions of dollars for moving forward. So I'm definitely going to be voting for the budget, because even though in our individual discussions, sometimes what we've advocated for hasn't been passed comprehensively, I think the collective wisdom of 7 people is greater than any one person's individual guess, and it's good enough to pass and move forward. So thank you for the time, Chair.
Any other discussion or perhaps a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance 23-23.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Jacob, second by Councilmember Bloom. Any discussion to the motion? After months and months and months of meetings and work sessions, we're really done? All right.
Can I quickly say all the hard work on this budget, all the things that we've gone through line by line on the committees with everybody. Yes. Are we all 100% happy? Absolutely not. But have we made some amazing strides and brought some really necessary things to our city? 100%. And I am proud of this budget. Is it perfect? No. But is it a step in the right direction? Absolutely.
All right. Seeing no other lights, we'll turn to Ms. Quick for a vote.
Councilmember Pack,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Chair McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Whitelock.
No.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthen.
No.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-2.
All right.
I move to approve consent items A and B.
I'll second. So motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember McConaughey. I'm not seeing any lights for discussion to the motion. I think that light I just saw was lightning outside. That is not eligible for comment at this point. So we'll turn to Ms. Quick for a vote. This one's got to be roll call since there's a resolution attached.
Thank you. Councilmember Worthen,
Yes.
Chair McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Pack,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bloom.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 7-0.
Right. Council meeting wrap up. However, please don't get your hopes up too quick because we do also have the Fairway Estates meeting to follow. With this one, council remarks though and comments, we'll start with Councilmember Worthen and then, Councilmember Worth. Councilmember Whitelock, and then Councilmember Pack.
First, I appreciate all the work that has gone into the budget. So thank you to everyone that has worked on it. And my feeling was we already had a tentative budget. So it's not like the city would have gone without a budget. There was already a budget to work with. Employees would have been paid. They would have been just fine. The other item I just want to voice is this is just an FYI for anyone that might listen. If you have filed a lawsuit against any organization that I'm associated with, I will no longer have dialogue with you. So just an FYI, whether that's, a car wreck or any other item. Dialogue ends when lawsuits are threatened or filed. So thank you.
Councilmember Pat.
Oh, thank you, Chair. A few items. I just want to thank Mayor Burton and all the staff. When there's a lot of projects that are planned, and then there's a lot of impromptu ones that happen, like a huge geyser that made Old Faithful look like a small trickle on 9000 South. So I happened to be driving by, coming back from an event, and saw that there was help needed. So Mayor Burton was there in his dress pants and dress shoes, but up to his knees in water as we were handing sandbags out. So, thanks for going the extra mile and jumping in and pitching in. And for all of our city crews, it was amazing to see how everyone was just on the spot in a matter of minutes. It's almost like everyone was an EMT, converging, and the coordination of everything that was needed, from manpower and materials to equipment. It was incredible. So thank you to our city crews. Also mentioning thanks from many parents and 16 to 18-year-olds trying to drive on the road to Copper Hills on opening day for getting the roads open at Ron Wood Parkway and also Copper Hills Parkway. I know the crews worked through the weekend to get that done. So PTA, community council, school, and district officials were very grateful for that. I was there at about 6 a.m. on the first day of school for the senior sunrise and to check everything out. Smooth sailing. So thank you very much. Also, just for everybody's understanding, it's interesting how certain issues can come all at the same time. So I've had 4 people contact me regarding our code enforcement policy. And so just for everybody to be aware, there might be something that we could do to help out, because it's interesting that 2 of these people were on the receiving end and 2 on the giving end of having to, let's say, tell on a neighbor or be told on by a neighbor, and there's neighborhood retaliation occurring. And while I recognize that with any action you take, there can be an equal and opposite reaction and unintended consequences, it kind of pits neighbor against neighbor and is actually made for very sour neighborly relations that are also dangerous. And so it would be nice if we could engage in a conversation regarding that. And so I'll be looking to have that conversation happen just to see what we can do. And of course, I could give more details as the time comes. But perhaps something could be tweaked to help out. Thank you.
Councilmember Worthington, then Councilmember Green.
So I like to do my shout out. I didn't do one last time because just life. But anyway, I want to do a shout out this last time. This is meeting 13 of last meeting. So lucky 13. So my shout out for this time is to a young man that helped me quite a bit with my campaign when I started running for office. I think anybody that when they start running for office, it can be difficult because doing rah-rah for yourself is really hard. And for 4.5 years, I spent rah-rahing for a lot of the candidates for the Valley throughout the city and cities, I should say, through the Valley. And I really did enjoy it. But when I had to do it for myself, it was hard. And this young man stepped up and although it was silent, more of a silent partner, helped me with thoughts, ideas, how to put things together, how to do mailers. And although I feel like I knew quite a bit because I did help candidates do that. This person was really instrumental in doing that and has kind of been that silent partner throughout the years, giving really good advice, maybe not even realizing it and being more of a support than I think he even knows. So Chris, I really want to thank you because you helped me more than you knew, and you were an inspiration in a lot of ways. Silent partner. You're quiet, and like you said, you're a great golf announcer. So when you said that earlier, like, oh, does that work with what I was going to say tonight? But yeah, you're very intelligent, you're very helpful, you're kind, and you helped me from the very beginning, and I appreciate all that. So thank you.
We always forget that our public utilities and our public works people are in the realm of first responders. And we've seen over the last several days, including today, the amazing work that all of our first responders do. And just a thank you to all of our first responders who do a great job, even if it means that Station 52 rolls out with every truck in the planet along with Unified PD and goes down my street at 2:00 in the morning. It actually happened the other day. My grandson was there, and it's like, where are all those fire trucks going? And you could tell it was a major response because Unified, we had extra trucks. It was obviously Unified because they'd come from Midvale, and police cars, their sirens were on. But it's nice to know that that station's close. They respond, and they respond fast. And so do all of the other, the other 3 stations, along with all of our other, first response crews. And so to all the first responders, thank you.
Right. Not seeing any other comments or any administrative items. Therefore,
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Whitelock. Not seeing any discussion to the motion. Therefore, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, we stand adjourned.
Speaking of sirens.
How'd you do that?
And all council office staff, just again to confirm, no gap needed before we call to order the next meeting. All right.